And I think the bottom line, Chris, is we weren't good enough, and that starts with me to make sure that we are good enough. And I'm on it.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all. Today, of course, it's Matt Rogers on the Honorable Mention podcast. Today, we have Chris Franklin from NJ.com. He's been a beat writer for NJ.com for Eagles beat writer for 4 years and has been covering other things for a number of years. Before that, young OG in the game. I say thanks for making time, Chris.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thanks for helping me out with that young one because that helps that helps me a little bit. Like, I'm almost 40, man. It's hitting hard, man. It's hitting.
Yeah, man. You've been putting a lot of work out there. You've been writing a lot of things about the draft, and we were just talking about off air how the league year kind of just sneaks up on you. You didn't make it out there to the combine, did you?
Oh yeah, I was there for a couple of days. I was there for Monday night through Wednesday night. I was out there.
Okay.
Howie stuff and Nick and got to talk to some of the adventures.
I did hear you in the background. That's right. Yeah. You did ask a couple there.
Yeah. It's just be on the edge, try to get that edge connection, try to get up close. So that's always the fun part. People don't get to see because everybody's fighting to get to our front row to try to get their questions in, and it's almost like watching the Royal Rumble at times. People trying to sneak and maneuver ways over, trying to get to it. That's fun.
So the Eagles, in a not too shocking development here, dropped Kevin Byard, Overbrook native, great guy, seemed like a great team leader guy, but it was a $13 million when they weren't even really willing to get into that neighborhood for CJ Gardner Johnson. So it wasn't too big of a shock. They have about $40 million in cap space, and that's before Howie starts doing Howie things and things start materializing. Do you expect in this free agency that the team's priority is going to stay the same with like getting the O-line, padded and stocked up well, and the defensive line, and that may materialize in money just, because the cap just went up. And so are we going to try to like allocate that just off the rip, so to speak, to Dickerson and to Haason Reddick?
I think they're trying to free up as much as they can to come to terms with Haason Reddick, but I don't think they're going to do something where it's something that's going to throw off them financially, because as you mentioned, they got not only Devontae Smith, they also got Landon Dickerson too. So they got so much young talent now that they need to lock up. And listen, I like Byard. I mean, there's no question they have to address that, because it was a position that seemed to have a lot of turnover in terms of injury. It wasn't playing at its peak. It wasn't playing at its peak, but you can say that about pretty much all like the back seven of the defense completely last year. But I look at it one of those things as one of those things they can make a splash. When you look at Vic Fangio, like way he likes to run his schemes, the safeties play a crucial role, not only just like in the zone, but they also have to be man coverage. So I expect them to address it. I really do. And is it going to be a big name splash? I don't think so, but you never know. I think they're going to spend a lot of the big money on the maybe on a surprising position. I think if I had to go, what?
Well, I'll just steal this one from later since you say that. Would that be like Xavier McKinney as like not a tier one, not like first day of free agency, big splash move, but a solid move like that? Or Cameron Curl or something like that.
I like I think McDaniel could be a target. Curl, I think Washington needs him, and for what Witt was due, I think they're really going to try to keep him. I think he stays in Washington, but a guy like that, a guy like CJ, I see CJ. I know you said all states coming back, but I think CJ will be very open, and I think the Eagles will be open to it. So it will come down to the same thing like money. And the thing that I think the Eagles Howie Roseman can use that to advantage is we've seen the safety classes coming out, the free agency class, and you look at it, there's a lot of names down there. There should be a lot of jockeying for position, and once the big guys go and you just hold your cards a little bit, I think that's a guy you say, hey, listen, why don't you come home? Just come home, man. And you need somebody because you don't know how well with Sidney Brown's knee is going to be healed up. So you need somebody. I think you can get somebody else you draft. I think you see somebody else drafted as well too.
Absolutely. That we'll get to more of those names like that. But you wrote a couple days ago in NJ.com, Chris, about Mecole Hardman. Mel Kiper said he believes he's the number 6 edge rusher in the draft. what are the chances that you wrote the piece, and it was very enjoyable. But what do you think the chances are that he does end up as a Philadelphia Eagle?
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I think the chances are it's gonna be tough. I think it's gonna be tough. To me, he was projected to be a fourth round guy, but also talking to somebody else that while I was out there, he might slip in. I think he's done well enough. Like they said before, this is before the workout where he had it. He can slip into the late third because he's that good of a player, and he's that good when it comes to the mentals and his versatility and what you can do with him. So if he was the Eagles didn't have a fourth round pick to begin with, but it's one of those guys where you can trade a couple fits or drop back in the third, get a couple spots and get another fourth round pick. I don't know if to me it'd be a reach where they're picking at right now, but if they move back, say 30th and then they like the Convict 97, it's a chance. I probably put it at 20% because all the teams he actually talked to
20%.
every
Okay.
team. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. He's good. He's good. A lot.
You said he talked to every team in Indy.
Team. Every team's reaching, not just Indy, but Senior Bowl, and everything. Yeah, he's very sought after right now.
Well, he's kind of has all the makings of a steal, a steal, later the jackpot kind of move at defensive end, and that changes everything when you get a guy that can go after the quarterback that just makes your team at least just one notch better if you have one of those guys.
I got second round grade on him. I think he's that good. I really truly have second round grade on him.
Oh, that's great.
He's going to be. I think he's going to be somebody you can really rely on as we play in this league for at least 7-8 years at minimum at a high level. I think if they can get him, that's the spot. Then it's really good. But I think he goes in the third round. But I think he's got second round talent.
Well, you talked about a second round talent. How about a third round talent and potentially Jeremiah Trotter Jr.?
I like what he can bring, especially when you look at the way the second half they run defense kind of went away. I love his athleticism. I like the way that he can, especially in the blitz. And that's the reason why I don't think he's the guy, because he blitzes very well in the A and the B gaps, which is very you need that. But Vic Fangio, we all know he doesn't blitz too much. He's not. I think he finished like 5th in blitz percentage last year with the Miami Dolphins. So I look at more of a coverage. I think a guy like Edgerrin Cooper, that's the guy who also spoke to a lot of teams as well too. That's the guy who I'm a little worried about. Like that's the guy I'm targeting. And you may have to.
Okay.
I think you would have had to before the draft, before the combine. I think you could have used one of those 2 picks. I think the Steelers are really interested in him. I think there's a few teams that are really interested in him. Where once again you may have to move up. You may even have to move up to get him because he's lighting up a lot more. I think he's better in coverage. I think he's athletic. He can do a lot of things. So he's the best to me. He's the best 3-down linebacker in this draft right now.
Since we're talking, talking linebacker, I mean, what's the vision, from your perspective? Obviously not, from, just getting inside of the head of Howie Roseman, but from the perspective or from the people who run the Eagles, what's the vision for Nakobe Dean?
They still, I think we're going to see him as the starter again. I mean, every time I try to reach, I talk to other people around the league, they you'd hear that they're like, I think they really still believe he still can do it. And for me, as we all know, it's all about the injury health, the history and his health. As long as he stays healthy, I think he's all right. And one of the things the reasons why I think he hasn't flashed a lot is because he keeps coming back. He has to keep recuperating. Takes time to get acclimated, and then he's hurt again. So, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a linebacker room. And that looks pretty much the same as last year. I think you look at Nakobe Dean. I think they reach out to Zach Cunningham, have him, Ben Van Sumeren. If they get Edgerrin Cooper, that's great. Sean Bradley as your special teams guy. I think they'll be okay with that. You can get Fangio can do a lot with that group.
So. What about Van Ginkel? Let's just get to that as a player that the Eagles may pick up.
I think if the Cunningham plan doesn't falls through, I think they really just like him just for his overall. So Van Ginkel, it could be a guy. I think it'll be a good match because although that Dean has played in this system or been around this Fangio-like system for a couple of years, I think you have a guy who was really well versed in Van Ginkel that just came off the season with he was down there. And he'll be able to just be like, hey, you know what? if Dean starts saying something, or maybe pre-snap, he helps Dean around when it comes to the checks and the keys and everything, and then adjust the defense accordingly to what they do on that. So I think he wouldn't be a bad backup plan, especially but I think Cunningham is the one that they're looking at to come back with.
Yeah, but see, when you bring up Cunningham and thinking about him for the 24, he was I think Cunningham is a good player, but he's more of a thumper. He's more of a downhill linebacker in the way that I look at it. So it's kind of the Jeremiah Trotter Jr. problem, kind of that you were talking about before. If you're going to go with a thumping type, maybe go with the upside. That's what I'm thinking there.
See, I like him when he plays and when he gets to the flat, as long as he doesn't have to run in the Tampa 2 type thing where he has to run to the middle of the back of the field. I don't mind him. I thought he did decent when it came to the hook to curl when it went in the flat area. Like, which pretty much you just need to ask him to do that and communicate and have that anticipation. So I thought
so
that
Cunningham on the outside and
yeah.
Dean on the inside. Okay.
Yeah. So Cunningham's your Will, Dean's your Mike, and then you still have Haason Reddick if he's still here as your one that one, which you hope he.
Of course,
they better find a way because if he's done. Oh, I had pass rush myself.
I mean, that sweat's your best pass rusher in that case, and Sweat had a rough second half of the season.
Yeah, and he's another guy who's entering the final year of his deal. So you're expecting him to bounce back, especially if he knows he's going to get paid potentially, being his age and in that position. So I expect him to have a bounce back season, like a full 17 game season and playoffs, stuff like that. You need somebody to rush that left side though, and right now he got even though Brandon Graham's a free agent, I fully expect him to come back. So
yeah,
you got
he's a depth piece.
Yeah, right, you can't, because that's why you need the left. Oh, because somebody can rush from the left side. Because if not, I mean, I'd probably at this point, I'm more looking at using that first round pick on an edge rusher per se. Because you need somebody there. And
if that's the situation, if we're losing Haason Reddick, man,
Chop Robinson's the one. That's the only way I can say it. And I know his team hasn't had recent success with Penn State edge rusher. I mean, Sharif Floyd was the last one. I think it was. Yeah. So. Yeah, I think Chop Robinson's a guy you can use. You can draft in the back end that first round, and he'll at least he'll at least create some havoc on there. So yeah, that's the guy to go with. But you need Reddick. You need Reddick. I'm sorry, you can't lose to one of the top 5 edge rushers right now. That he's your linchpin. You need him.
And he's at the age where he just wants his one more payday, some security, so that he can retire. They are turning over some leadership. He's looking at his watch and saying, "Well, I've been in the league now so many years, and I'm only going to get paid this one more time, maybe potentially." And so, you got to understand it from his perspective all the time. I mean, from the player's perspective, is that they only got so many times they're going to be able to go out and go and get their money. And so everybody else does it in their lives in the way you go about business. If people are handing out raises, if your department's handing out raises and you get, your hand is empty when you, you start thinking about, your value.
Yeah. The new guy got paid. Why did he get it? Oh, he's getting it. You see what they got over here? Say, Fred Bosa got paid. Why can't I get paid? Stuff like
and
that.
People talk, right? People talk.
Oh, I think he knows that was one thing, especially back in September when Bosa got that deal. We asked him. He knew it was coming. We asked him to, and
right.
Yeah, he's very well aware of that. Very well aware.
I mean, he should. It's a way that people can. People, owners and teams and fans can all tell players, "Oh yeah, you're great, we love you," but they really tell you how they feel about you when that payday comes.
Yep, big time. Oh, because like, so we see you paid. See, thanks for, by the way, and it's a crazy business too, because it's like, thanks by the way for signing a deal that was way under market, but yeah, we're gonna wait a little bit to pay you more, even though you deserve it, even though you've been on this second team all, you've done all this stuff. Yeah, sorry, we're gonna wait a little bit, and good luck. Stick around with us. We love you. Yeah, okay.
Which is why, I mean, I like that the Eagles, when the franchise tag period kind of comes, you kind of expect and know that the Eagles aren't tagging anybody, because I just think it's just bad business. And I like that this Eagles organization kind of lets guys know, even when they're not going to re-sign back, you can kind of read the tea leaves and kind of see what the team's vision is on a guy. You can tell when a guy is basically getting in line to get paid. And so from that perspective, I think, they do a good job there.
Yeah, the only taggable people that are right now would be Jalen Hurts if he was a free agent, and probably Jake Elliott if he would. Which is surprising. That's coming up pretty soon too. But I wouldn't. That's Jake Elliott's probably the only guy that probably be worthy, because the tag number's so low. It's like, and he's worth it. He's actually been reliable. It's like, yeah, okay, we're using the franchise tag. Okay, great. On a kicker. All right, never mind.
Not to dive off into like some random conversation here for the random podcast listeners who of course never hear any of that, would be, I'm kind of starting to think like Elliott's one of these like Akers type of guys, like a legitimately good franchise kicker.
Yeah, so I mean, he's been second team All Pro. You look at the way he handles himself under pressure, which I think that's the true mark of a kicker, a good kicker. You can kick all the 50-yarders, 40-yarders, and what have you when it's the second quarter, in the like 6 minutes left in the second quarter. Okay, but when it comes to game winners on the line, you got everybody's watching. You need to win the game. That Buffalo game to me was the highlight of that. Like this just continues to show you between that Buffalo game, that Giants game back in the Super Bowl season. You mean to tell me you got to kick something like, especially Buffalo, 59 yards with the wind rain going at you, and you make it? Yeah, that's the mark of a good kicker. Him and Tucker, and I forget the guy, Allen. I want to say Allen and Dallas. Those three to me are just
the new guy.
Yeah, I forget his name.
What's his name? That's gonna kill me. I'm gonna have to hold on. I'm gonna have to do it for the people.
I don't know right now. Yeah. Yeah, but
because he's actually good. He's a legitimate good kicker.
Brandon Aubrey.
Aubrey. Yeah,
he's the one. He's those three to me are at the top of the league when it comes to kicking. And yeah, Elliott has to be among them.
Before we go a commercial break, you think that the Bills kicker, are they going to bring him back? Are they going to give him a chance to save himself? Or
psychologically, I just don't see how they can do it. Like for his sake too, because you go on a season and all these players, like, they look at you and just go like, okay, we know it's having the confidence. Like, they don't have the confidence like that. I just don't see it. I think you have to look somewhere else. I don't think you draft one, but yeah, you go the way of Scott. You go the way of Scott Norwood, and I'm sorry, you're going wide right out the locker room. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
Dang. I mean, it feels like it's the only call to make. It's unfortunate that he's got to take the L like that, but somebody's got to take the L sometimes.
Yeah. Like, there's always gonna be the scapegoat, and I think he'll be pick up somebody else. I mean, it might be a while. Somebody's gonna bring him into camp. I think he's good enough that he deserves another chance. But I think a fresh start, especially after an event like that. Basically that traumatic stuff, and the teammates in the locker room probably don't have a confidence, especially after that. It's still fresh in mind, but I think he has to go somewhere else and prove it.
But he's liable to be cut if he has another one of those. It could be a regular season game. He's gone.
Oh yeah,
he will not kick in the league again.
Yeah, once he does that, it's like, okay, yeah, you're going to win. He's like the Chris Bonio at the end. It was so bad, but yeah, I think he might be that. Oh, I feel bad.
And it's a crazy thing with that, kicking as a skill, as an art. Once you're shot, I mean, it just seems like it just goes on guys.
Yeah, it's almost like it's like a baseball player, where if you're a power bat in the lineup in baseball, you're so used to hitting home runs, so used to getting it, and then all of a sudden the bat speed slows down, and you're just lumbering, and junk is getting you out now here left and right. Yeah, kickers are the same way. Once their leg goes, it's bad.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. We'll be right back after a quick commercial break.
One thing I learned early about in leadership is that you have to be yourself. And because if you lead and you're trying to be somebody you're not, when you lead, then and that gets seen through. I mean, that's just the same. That's the same scenario I was put in. When I became the head coach or an offensive coordinator or whatever it was, and everybody has to lead their way. And Jalen has special qualities that people will follow and people will want to follow.
All right, so we're back to talk some more free agency as it relates to the league in general, but of course, when it comes to the Eagles, because we got Chris Franklin from NJ.com here. Let's talk about OZ, as they call him, Olamide Zaccheaus, coming back as the Eagles slot receiver. Is it better than a 50-50 chance that he comes back? I think it's, I feel like that's the question I want to ask. Is it better than a 50-50 chance that OZ is back?
I probably say it is more like a 55%. I'm just thinking of it. I'll take that one. But the only reason why I would say that is he pretty much he was relegated to being the fourth guy now. There's no way. Like you know, saying beforehand early on, oh well, we're gonna have competition. We don't really have a third slot wide receiver. The fact they had to go out and get Julio Jones and they were hoping that he was going to turn that guy, it was not. He reminds me of a lot of Zach. He was the Zach Pascal. He was just like that. He did very well. Those hustle plays with the blocks and everything, he sprung everything on the screens and everything. Did a very good job on that. It was the thing, and until last year, you saw his numbers continually go up in terms of his production. It's just crazy last year because they had so many options on that offense. Mm-hmm. I think it's one of those things where I still think they draft a guy. And I'm not putting it out. I'm not putting it completely away that Quez is returned. I think Quez is done here. Wow. But I wouldn't say the door's completely closed though. I think they need to get somebody else. I think he's out. I think OZ might be the same play, have to play the same role, be the fourth guy, and I think they draft somebody.
I'm canceling all Philly sports subscriptions. If I'm sorry for all the people who try to build up their following and whose stuff I enjoy. I watch y'all. I hope y'all watch me. If they bring back Quez Watkins, it's going to be like the summer of Quez Watkins. It is going to be.
I think it'll be one of those things where I think the way I think he's back is if they target somebody, they don't get them. And they target somebody in free agency, what have you. It can be anybody. Then you go again, you go to the draft, you're like, you know what? And you see like in the OTAs, like this might be a bit of a time for him to develop it. We thought we saw one thing and it wasn't. Yeah, and I think like, all right, Quez knows the system. We need.
So he's like a poor man's Mecole Hardman. Is that what you're saying? Kind of like that.
And I think Quez will actually hold his won't give the game plan to other teams too. So sorry.
You think that's real? Do you think that since you brought it up, Chris, I wasn't even going to force you there, but
the code, the locker room code. If you got a couple guys just really going out, they don't really mess with you. And the fact that two guys in that locker room suggested that, I think that's a huge thing. Because you're like, cause we all know the game where it goes, well, no, this is all hearsay. That's outside of the way. There's rumor stuff. The fact that two players intimated that happened, and we're happy.
And there hasn't been, there hasn't been people. You're saying if there hasn't been somebody on the other side say that that's bull, that's not real, then you should. Oh,
and the guys of that magnitude who said it, I think that's so. Yeah, I think wow. It might be that might be true. And the worst part is it didn't work on either time. I wonder if they knew they owned there tested him, seeing if he was giving out bad info, and then after he gives out bad info, that's what he won. All right, we know we got a leak somewhere. Okay, we've heard this. Okay, wait, give it to
him. You giving players fake game,
and he gives out the Eagles. And what happened? Look at it. Jets played one of their best games of the year against the Eagles, and look at it against Kansas City.
Wow.
I think that's real.
Wow, so you think that's real? Wow.
I think it's real. I really do. I really do.
That's terrible.
Good luck trying to find somewhere else now with that hanging over your head. Like,
he's not going. That's going to hurt his. Somebody will get him, but that's going to hurt his money. There's no way it doesn't.
He might be sitting around for a while. Free agency, he might be.
You think a slap on the wrist time? You think the shield is going to band?
Oh no! I don't think the shield. I don't think it's them. I think it might be I think it's one of those things where everybody's just going to sit and try to do their due diligence and they wait a long time because now you have that out. You can probably get it for a lot cheaper too. I think it's a.
And he might not be
I
willing to sign your number. He might think it's disrespectful, whatever the line. Yeah.
I don't want to say. I'm not. I'm trying to find a better way to put it. Is no. I don't think it's a way of collusion or whatever. But everybo's be on the same mindset of saying like, "Yo, this guy."
Yeah. This is wild. Yeah. I get you.
You can't do that. You can't do that at all. It's just, you lose all respect for players, and people gonna look like, oh, I feel like Departed. We got a rat in here. We got a rat in here. You don't want a rat around you. So,
well, I guess it's just business in general. I mean, it would compromise you in any kind of situation to do things like that. So,
yeah, especially in season. Like after the season, I mean, there are websites and there's things that you get playbooks from other teams. I may have a few myself, like from free time, so you can see what the coach did after, like what their time game plan happened. I mean, I don't care. Say it is. It's still out there on the web right now. To it, Sean Payton's 2000, where it tells like even goes from how you're going to line up to the huddle all the way through to like especially like taking a knee and everything and the formations of plays and everything. You see all that stuff, so it's out there. You know, somebody had to leak it, whatever. It's a matter of you don't do that when you're winning games. If you had the playbook, you copied it, and then you leave free agency, you leave it around, and you go free to go to another team. You so happen to leak it. All right, cool. It's a competitive thing, but not when you're in the season, man. That's just bad.
that takes it to the okay.
That's bad.
It is bad. So you think I guess staying on the Chiefs, Mecole, where he finished the season catching the game-winning touchdown for the Super Bowl champs, L'Jarius Sneed, from 0 to 100, what do you think the chances are that he ends up somewhere other than Kansas City?
$20. I think he stays. I think they find a way because you don't get that young. The fact that they're going to put that tag on him, especially they're going to tag. I don't think they're going to put. Teams don't really do it as much, but they usually use that exclusive tag. But the 2 first-round picks tag makes a lot of sense, especially if you want to try to do a sign and trade, because it's like, hey, listen, if you're willing to give up 2 first-round picks, and if you're a contender, say if you were, I don't know, say if you're San Fran, they won't do it. I'll just throw them out there because they want to. Say they were San Fran, and you know you're expecting to pick 25 or later. Would you take Sneed, give up 2 fake years? Yeah, I would, but I don't think it's never happened. We all know general managers and how precious they keep those picks, so it's not going to happen. If somebody offers them like maybe a second, I think the value that you probably get back, and then teams knowing that they have to sign him, I think the Kansas City, he winds up staying and remains in Kansas City, but it's a very intriguing name to think about. It's just, I think he stays.
It's just the compensation's the package is too high for that.
Yeah, it's a lot. You're giving up future positions, addressing future positions, as well as you still got to pay the guy who's going to take a bunch of your cap. You know that too. It's just the way it's just too costly. So he's going to be back. Maybe he'll play. Like he's just played another year, and maybe he tries again next year. But I think he's back. Chris Jones will laid a good blueprint for how to get the Chiefs paid. So I think he's going to follow the same thing too, since they know what happened there. They just set them up for that. So that's what else going to happen there.
Since we talk about somebody just going to go get paid, I did see today Mike Evans talking about he wants to play for a Super Bowl caliber team with a Super Bowl caliber quarterback, get paid, and be like, and I thought and might have shared to others, I too want everything. I mean,
that was like, see, you know what though? It's smart on his end because he can get out of this so quickly. He can get out of it in 2 ways. The first way he can get out of it is, well, he resigns and see, I knew this. This is why I resigned. I know Baker's a Super Bowl caliber thing. I think we have this team that's that. He can do that, and that's power on return. And if it doesn't happen, say if he goes to the Chiefs, which that's the scenario that scares me the most. The Chiefs sign him. That scenario scares me, where he goes there and it's like, well, I'm now playing with a Super Bowl caliber team with a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. The Chiefs are the team that really worries me for his services. That's the one I think they go out for him. But yeah, I think he might be on the move. I really do.
Mike Evans to KC. Oof.
That would be that's just not fair. I feel bad for everybody in the AFC West, and Yeah, try to stop that Mahomes and Evans. Man,
I mean, and the shifting that they like to do, they could really mess you up with. You could be moving around Kelsey and Evans within the formation before the pre-snap, throwing fade balls, all kinds of. I mean,
and Rasheed Rice will be another year older. He's getting more experience in his second year. That's
Rasheed
why
is the number one.
Yeah, I think
He's
that's
the number
why.
one.
And you have 1A with those guys. That then you're talking dynasty. You're talking legit dynasty there, because I think they win the AFC, and depending on who comes on the NFC, I'm not liking that matchup at all.
I mean, they got 2 and 3. No, I'm sorry, 3 and 4 years. I mean, I'm already calling them a dynasty, but yeah, they may. You think they might pick up the pace with 4 out of 4?
I think that will be the one.
Wow.
I think if they get Evans, they win the Super Bowl next year. That's
Yeah. Yes. Whew. That's scary season for the NFL.
Yeah, it is.
Kate, well, talk about the AFC with J.K. Dobbins. Caden Steele from your paper said that he's exactly the kind of player that the Eagles might be able to get a deal on, the way that they like to do with the running back market. Is that the kind of players should, or Philadelphia Eagles fans should be expecting to see toting the ball instead of like a DeAndre Swift?
Yeah, because they don't pay. They just don't pay for it's like one thing's like it's like they remind me of the classic team that goes, I want to get McDonald's. We got McDonald's at home, and it's sitting there in the bargain bin like there, something like that. It's like, come on, guys, don't do that. Don't do that. But yeah, as much as I love to see Swift there, I think he gets paid a decent amount. So that means I think he's out. To me, Dobbins' situation looks a lot like Rashad Penny's, but you just hope that he actually plays this time instead of with him sitting Penny around there. So I see that as an option. Like, you only have Kenneth Gainwell right now. I don't, as much as we love Boston Scott, when I was talking to him after the season, I had this on the story too. Like, he said when the Super Bowl ended, he didn't really have a lot of time to observe options. Like, oh yeah, I'll sign another 1-year deal. Now they have the time, and you look at how much he was used. He said he's going to explore his options. So you don't know if you're going to get him back. So you need to refill.
I mean, he didn't really get the ball during the Giants games.
Yeah,
even during the Giants game, he couldn't get the damn ball. So I was like, what the hell am I here for?
Yeah, between
let
that,
me cook 1 year and 1 night a year. Come on.
Yep. And when you look at the way the kick return spot, you not only have him. Remember Isaiah Rodgers returns kickoffs too. So you have that, so they can be a competition for that. I would love to see him back, because I wish he got more run, because I think he still is a really good back, but I don't know. So you really need to fill it out, and Dobbins could be one. You look at some of the running backs in here. I think the draft running back, I think they make that combination, but Swift's the target number 1, but he's going to get paid. He definitely is.
You bring up Isaiah Rodgers, which is it's a pickup that starts because he was suspended. And the Eagles now have the rights to play him. He's a nice slot corner. I think he'll be a good player for the Eagles. Also in the slot currently, though, they have Avonte Maddox, who has had issues staying healthy. Do you think that they end up keeping Avonte Maddox on the team and on the books, or if they don't, how do they work around that?
I think you use a restructuring. Personally, I think at this point right now, especially we mentioned his name, Sidney Brown, earlier, I think you move him to safety, at least for right now, time being, because in the way the system works, safeties are most of the time there in the slot, so he's got experience here in the slot. He'd have a whole entire offseason to work as a safety and get his eye alignment different from what he was currently right now. That's the guy I would look at in that one too. Yeah, let him bulk up a little bit,
stature a little bit. Yeah, absolutely.
And then how much they use in this type of system. The 3 safety plays a lot, so that way you'd have, at least you start out the season with Avonte as a start safety. Then you just bring him, if you want to use a 3 safety thing, you bring him in and you play him in the slot again what he normally is. Then you got the same thing that you had beforehand, and then you still
he's got good instincts.
Yeah, so just needs to stay healthy. That's it. So if anything, I think he's a candidate.
I would prefer that. Yeah, I would prefer
safety. Use him safety and restructure his contract.
I think he's a good player. I think he brings a lot to the locker room. And the dead cap hit is significant if you were to let him go. Same thing with Bradberry, though. Are they going to be moving both Bradberry and Avonte Maddox to safety? I mean, we opened up a can of worms, Chris. I'm sorry. I'm just putting it on you. What are we doing here?
Go for it. No, I think Bradberry's back as well too. I really do. When you look at what I talk when talking to some people around and everything else, and you look at it, they basically you look at how he's going through dips like this beforehand. Right before he actually signed with the Eagles, when he was at last year with the Giants, he struggled a bit. I think that was his worst year in terms of I want to say yards per reception or quarterback rate. No, last year was his worst year quarterback rating rise, 114, which was astronomically high.
I mean,
by far the most touchdowns.
Ridiculous. That's somebody getting picked on.
Yeah, it was. And I think when you look at the way they were trying to use him, he was bouncing around left, right, inside, outside. Okay, doing this one, and then and then the thing that I think a lot of times too is his strength is playing in zone, and he can play man, but I think he's a way better zone player because of his instincts.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can mix match. You can play zone one half, man on the other, and do that. And I think they can still do that. And there are some forms looking at Fangio's previous playbooks. There are some forms you can do that. And
he's a cover three. He's a cover three outside corner.
Yeah,
I mean that's what he's built to do.
And when he gets a jump, you saw what happens when he gets a jump on. And he sees what's happening and developing in front of him. He makes the plays effectively on that. So I think he's back. And I know that number's going to look rough, especially after the last season there. I think he has a bounce back year once again. I really do.
Bounce back, okay. Early.
He's a bounce back. I'm calling my shot right now. It may look really bad, but no, it's good. But I think he has a bounce back season this year. I really do.
Yeah. Man, there's a lot of bad shots going on. I don't think. I don't think it.
AJ wants to be traded. Those takes.
Yeah, I didn't want. Yeah, we're just going there. I didn't even see. Do it, Chris. Come on, now you went there.
Let me cook right now. Let's cook on this one. Nah, there we go. And I feel bad for the guy. I really do, because this all started beginning of December when all this stuff's coming out there, and it all comes from some of these Facebook pages where you take something I think from other teams too. I think that's like fans of other teams. They'll take one quote, put it out of context, and say like AJ Brown wants to be traded or AJ Brown is being a diva, and they put the things in there, and then he's like, "What the heck am I doing?" And then you see it pop up again, and it starts to wear on a guy. And I don't get these. He's not leaving. He said over and over again that he wants to be here. It's not. I don't think it's one of those. It's Jalen or me things. I don't. That's not there. There's nothing.
That
like
would be crazy.
It's not. So all these takes I see, I'm like, oh no, he just wants this, or he wants out, and he's too much of a diva. We don't need to No, I think if anything, it's just frustrating. You see him go through spurts where he'll go on social media and he'll go off or anything else. It might be a spurt. I mean, unless I do it for work, I'd probably get off of X right Twitter right now. It's toxic, and I think he's one of those things as well too, where he's like every time he just opens up, AJ, you stink. AJ wants to leave. I'm like, what am I doing here? I didn't say that. So
exactly, it's harassment at a certain point.
Yeah, he's this whole thing. There's times I still remember when this all really came to a head. I was like, I'll even say this Friday when he went on the radio station the previous Friday. I was on vacation, and I'm like, well, picked a good week to stay on vacation because I've been upset having to do this on a Friday. Why is this even the fact that he had to go on there to even say that? So it's like, oh, now I'll get off my soapbox today. And AJ Brown stuff was just I didn't get that from the jump at all.
And you and I talked about this because I've had the honor of having you on. We've been doing this, talking about different Eagles off seasons, and every off season you hear some of this just crazy talk. Like last season, you had to talk about were the Eagles gonna bring DeAndre Hopkins at $20 million a year to be wide receiver 3, and people were convinced of it. I mean.
And to tell another AJ story, everybody thinks, AJ only thinks about himself. He doesn't want to do this. Well, last year, back when he was a Pro Bowl, he got named to Pro Bowl, and Devontae Smith was an alternate. If they had gone to the Pro Bowl and say they got knocked out, and they didn't go to Super Bowl and had to play in the Pro Bowl, he admitted that he was going to be injured, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, to give Devontae a chance to actually experience his first Pro Bowl because he wanted him to say that, wanted him to see that. And tell me that's a guy who's like, nah, I'm going to do this myself. No, he wants to do that. Like, if Devontae was the first option this year, it would have happened again. Even with that, I know he's recovering his knee and everything, but it would have happened. Like, no, I'm not going to go into that story. But yeah, overall, like, yeah, he's you may have saw a similar thing before he got hurt. You may have saw it. So yeah, he's you saw another thing. He's signing jerseys for guys like afterwards for family. Like you see this stuff, and yeah, he's the perception that he continually gets, like, or the assumptions that are made about this guy are different from what is actually we've seen up close and in Indianapolis and all that stuff. Man, it's just crazy.
And then at the same time, folks, wide receivers of the caliber of AJ Brown don't grow on trees. This is a, and I made this point repeatedly. This is not a franchise that it has, had consistent success getting wide receivers. This is the city of Nelson Aguilar and Travis Fulgham and Dante Stallworth, and Dante Stallworth, who played fine. Reggie Brown. Let's go with James Thrash.
Chris T. Jones. Chris, I'll go back that far. Like Chris T. Jones, he's going to revolutionize it. Reggie Brown,
Eagles
Reggie Brown was that.
Any of these names ring a bell?
Oh,
AJ Brown. Now let's think about AJ Brown.
It's been. You've got Rager. He could fit 12 personnel.
2 years ago, we just got off of Rager. Rager and AJ were on the team together. This is what we're talking about, folks.
I forgot about like that. Yeah, sure. He can fit 12 personnel, so we'll draft him. And whoops, overextend. Justin Jefferson. He might take the extra time to run 12. Nah.
That's the only way a AJ Brown trade makes sense. Like, who am I getting back? Am I getting Jamar Chase? Am I getting Justin Jefferson? Then pretty much I don't care. Like, what are we talking about? And then I got an 8 dead cap. Like, how am I justifying this as a business? It makes no sense.
People, it's that one. I'm waiting for we should trade AJ for L'Jarius Sneed or Haason Reddick for L'Jarius. I'm waiting for that story to be written by somebody too. Like stuff like stop, guys. It's the off season. It's like it's too quiet, so it's like sometimes you just need something to pop up. So yeah, I don't get it.
Absolutely. I just saw scrolling across the screen here at the combine. We talked about Mo Kamara earlier. He ran a 4.57 today, so he's going to be shooting up those draft boards even more.
Yeah, and looking at that, when he did that bend, they have the rope. It's the hoop, run the hoop drill, where you basically it's like you have to do like an 8, and you take up the towel, you put it in the other hoop, pick it up, and go back. Basically running like a figure 8. He was running smooth. He was going around the bend. He was doing all that stuff. So yeah, he ran a good 40. He's showed up a good bend and that inflection that you like to see when you're coming off the edge to get to the quarterback. Yeah, he might not be a fourth round. He's not there fourth round. You might have to use 97 or 3rd round pick on him, and even then, he may not be at 97 when they pick the comp pick. So, I like him. I think he could be the Sidney Brown of this year's draft to me. I really think so.
So before I let you go, will Kellen Moore be able to make Devontae Smith fully bloom? Is the in the Nick Sirianni flower analogy?
I just think I look at Devontae. He does it himself. I mean, this guy's just. I look at the way that he plays the game, and it doesn't matter where he lines up, how he runs his route. His routes are so technically smooth, and he creates separation just off of that. And he's able to operate in tight windows. We talk about him so much on the outside. When you look at his numbers in the slot, he's among the best receivers in the game right now when it comes to slot numbers. Because he has a very high quarterback rating. He's able to get catches. I think I want to say like more than 75, more than 80% of his targets in that area too. So you look at him, and I think the fact that he can get, especially when he's in the slot, he got that separation. He can kill you that way too. With Moore, if he can draw up enough other motions that make him work, that some of the stuff we've seen before and someone gets stale, you free him up via the motions. I think he can get an even higher target, like not even just target share, but teams are going to. I think he will get more targets because teams I think are still going to continue to double team AJ Brown. Eventually, it's going to be ebb and flow. They're going to continue to double AJ Brown. Say, okay, beat us Devontae. The more uses that motion, gets him open. Okay, we actually have to do this. Maybe we double team the outside and get Dallas Goedert. Oh wait, maybe Dallas Goedert's open a little bit more now because you double teaming those guys, and it makes that offense tough to continue. So Moore has the capability. He's shown it in the past. So I just want to see how much of Moore's influence we put into the offense, and will we let him to do what he does best? That's the thing you gotta watch.
I think the short game to Devontae Smith should basically be the run game. Since damn it, we're not going to run the ball 20 times a game anyways. Let's just run shallow cross, short zag out. Let's get Devontae at least 10 catches a game. Just keep moving the chains to Devontae Smith. Kind of how they used to. You would know that the Eagles were going to be throwing to Zach Ertz, 15 times a game. It didn't matter. I think that's the way that this works because they're going to, like we talked about earlier, they make it very clear when guys are about to get paid. Devontae Smith's about to get paid. He is going to be a centerpiece of this franchise for a long time. And I think that's the way that you kind of make them fear you. He's a great route runner and definitely downfield threat. But I think in the short game, I think we could end up using him better, getting him to get throws over the middle the way he did on Christmas Day in the Giants game. I mean, is that what you're thinking we'll see?
I think a lot of times in terms of that middle, maybe you just roll the puck out just a little bit. Not you don't like the quarterback throw over across his body, but maybe you just do that to see it a little bit more. And also that the middle also you had to put that on Jalen as well too. Sometimes you can get there were things in there, and he couldn't like if he climbed the pocket, that's trying to roll it out. If he climbed the pocket, saw these there were some routes crossing across the middle of the field. So
he eliminates open receivers absolutely on the interception in the Seattle game, throwing that pick that ended the game to Julian Love. I mean, he has receivers open over the middle that could have got him 20 yards there. So yeah, absolutely. Not inability, because I don't want to be ridiculous like a lot of folks. The failure in situations to climb the pocket from Jalen did eliminate a lot of those middle of the field throws. I agree with you on that.
And he proved it beforehand. Like in 2022, he was climbing the pocket. He did very well. It was last year he regressed in that area. Just to get him back to the point where he feels comfortable enough to that. And that's where you're going to look at the hiring of Doug Nussmeier. You're going to need him to really hone that in on there. And it's not like they don't work on it. I remember seeing Brian Johnson work on with him. They'd have that thing where they have the pads on the ground. He's moving around. He's trying to whack it over his thing. And They do that. They work on climbing the pocket. Just when it came to game time of the game, it just didn't do it. So it needs to be drilled more into his head to say it's okay to step up and throw it. He's shown he can do it. It's time for him to show he can do it again.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much for listening. You can follow Chris Franklin at nj.com and then on social media at C Franklin News. I think that's the universal handle everywhere. Do you have a Facebook page, Chris?
Yeah. If I think it's C Franklin. I think it's might be C Franklin. Yeah, C Franklin News. I believe it is there too. Yeah. So yeah, I think I try to get as many as I can. Like, Brandon, try to get it. Yeah. So, even the new ones, even Blue Sky, C Franklin News. Try to get it everywhere.
Well, thank you all, and please subscribe to get this podcast wherever you get your podcast, but especially on YouTube where you can listen to the whole thing without ads. But if you like your podcast service, you'll just have to deal with some 30-second ads here. I try to make them topical and enjoyable, but thank you all so much for listening, and thank you, Chris, for making time.
Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Honestly, yeah. But you do realize, real quick, AJ, I don't want to cut you off, but you realize people do want to understand you. Like, they do want to understand you. They do want to understand you.
I don't think so. The stigma between what T.O. did here and like, they always trying to pinpoint that. No, they really don't. They just put me in this bubble with him or whatever he did in the past, and I know him. He's a great person. I'm not trying to talk bad at him, but I'm my own person. I don't move like that. I don't do none of that stuff like you can ask any of my teammates. That's the reason why I'm on the show today.